Looks to me like it's time for another episode of Student of the Gun Radio. What? Yes, indeed. It's Wednesday's episode number 965. Not that you care. Biden says no amendment is absolute. Who does he think he is? Dick Metcalf? Little callback from Monday's episode. And if you didn't listen to it, you better go back and do that. All right. Joining me in the satellite studio from Salt Lake City is Jared.
Hi, guys. I'm here. I am in the Salt Lake Valley.
Yeah,
it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
I am here as well. Hi, guys. How's it going?
All right. Your mic sounds better. I think it was last week or week before, your microphone, every time we cut to you, it was like, you were in the background. But now you're here.
That's entirely possible. Sometimes our settings just like to reset themselves. I blame Windows.
All right. We've got, according to the calendar, it is the first day of July. Yes, indeed. And I've got a garden report for you guys. Yes, as you know, we planted a garden. We encourage you guys to plant gardens, whether they're herb gardens or vegetable gardens, or maybe you're planting a rabbit garden or a cow garden. I don't know what you're planting. But I went out in the garden this morning, and our tomato plants, which we started as seeds in little cups. We had little cups of dirt back in April. We put seeds in them, and we put them on a shelf, and we watered them. And one of the plants is almost 3 feet tall now. I put tomato cages around them because, if you have tomatoes, you got to give them something to grow on. Otherwise, they just go, kind of fall over. So I built tomato cages out of chicken wire, actually. And the one plant, like I said, it's like 2.5 feet at least. Doesn't have any tomatoes on it yet and I know you Eastern Southern people are like, dude, I'm already picking stuff. I'm like, yeah, you don't live in Wyoming. But that's your garden report. We do have a sweet pepper though. That's about the size. It's about the size of a golf ball on the pepper plant. So
I can't remember if you just said this or if I was talking to Alex about it, but tomatoes grow insanely fast. Once they bloom, I mean, it's like day after day they double in size. Yeah. I didn't realize that. This is the first time I've really actually grown and paid attention to the tomatoes.
Well, the trick with them is the plants come out green, and you're like, okay, they're green. And then they get little flowers on them. You're like, ooh, little flowers, whether they're white or orange or whatever. And then what comes from that is the fruit, right? And we have little jalapenos about the size of my pinky finger. We got a bunch of little jalapenos hanging off our jalapeno plant. So good stuff out there. And if you guys didn't start your garden, it's still not too late to start like bucket potatoes and stuff like that.
Bucket potatoes are
garden update.
What? Oh, garden update. Zach wants jalapenos. That's funny. I like that. I was gonna say, the bucket potatoes are pretty much effortless. Like you put them in the bucket and then they grow. Yeah. You have to make sure they have buds on them, and they have eyes. And they're pretty much effortless.
Yeah. All right, Zach, play that intro music, buddy.
Stand by for education, enlightenment, enjoyment, and entertainment.
He's not here to talk about your feelings. He's not here to say what you want to hear. He's here to say what needs to be said.
Ladies and gentlemen, and children of all ages, please welcome your host, the pimp hand of America, Professor Paul Markle.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. All right. The ancient, and some people say it's from Sun Tzu. Some people say it's from Musashi. And the truth is, I could not find an exact source, but you find it all over the place on the internet. It is better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And that's what I am. I am a warrior in a garden. All right. Brownell's bullet points. I'm going to address a question from one of our grad program members today in the Brownell's bullet points. We're going to talk about mid-range rifle scopes. That should be fun. Bing, bing. Boom. Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. One of our guys out there, and I broke balls. He said, "I've got a Ruger ranch rifle, and what scope should I put on it?" And I said, "Buy an AK."
Yeah.
No, he said, "I got a Ruger ranch rifle in 7.62 by 39. What scope should I put on it?" And I said, "Buy an AK." No, because I actually thought he was talking about a Ruger Mini 30. And he wasn't, though. He was actually talking about a new Ruger has a bolt action gun in 7.62 by 39. But the answer is, what scope should you put on it? Here's the dealio. That is a mid-range cartridge. 7.62 by 39, whether it's from a bolt gun or a semi-auto gun or a breech-loading single action, doesn't really matter. That's about a 300-yard cartridge. You're like, oh, Paul, the bolt will go way farther than that. Yeah, okay, I get it. It'll go way farther than that. But the fact of the matter is number one, if you lived where I lived in rifle country, you wouldn't even be screwing around with that in a bolt gun. You would have 308 or 6 Creedmoor or 7mm or something, because you can shoot basically as far as the eye can see. On the East Coast of the United States, the East Coast and in the South, a 300-yard shot is a long shot. Jared, how many rifle ranges did we have access to in the South and on the East that had more than 100 or 200 yards?
Nah, I don't think any, actually.
Yeah, most of them, most rifle ranges are about 100 yards. A 200-yard range in the East is a long. And then if you're talking about hunting, very few places that you're going to go hunting in the South or in the East are you going to be able to have a direct line of sight shot that's more than 200 yards. So think of that cartridge as a mid-range cartridge. Let's say 50, 100, 150, 200 yards or so. And in that case, you don't need a 12-power 56, millimeter scope. You don't. What you probably will do best with is a 3x9 of some sort. There's a lot of 3x9 scope. If you want a variable power scope, if you don't want a variable power scope, you're like, I don't like variable power scopes. Jared, do you know why most optics available are variable power? It's not a trick question.
So that you can see further and closer?
Nope. I'll tell you exactly why. Because it's the same exact reason why there are holes in a pistol magazine, or 1 to 15 or 1 to 13 or 1 to 17, because the American public thinks that they need it. The American gun buying public thinks that they need that. The fact that the truth of the matter is the people go out and buy these 8 to 12s or 5 to 10s or 3 to 10, and they either never have them on the lowest power setting ever, or they have them set all the way at the highest power setting. But I would venture to say that the majority, and dudes, don't write me letters because I know nobody. I've got one right here. It's a 3x15 by 42 millimeter scope, right? No one ever sets it on 7 power. Ever. They never do. You say, well, why do they make it? Because the manufacturers know that the gun buyers think that they have to have it. Now, you say, oh, 3-gunners. There's like 82 3-gunners in America. Okay, there's more than that. What I would suggest to you, if you have one of these rifles, like a 7.62 by 39, a mid-range rifle, go to Brownells and find yourself a 3x9, right? 9 power is plenty of magnification for a 200-yard shot. More than enough. If you say, well, actually, I'm probably going to be sitting in a tree stand and the farthest shot I'm going to take is 91 yards, then I would actually get a 1x5. One of these 1x5s. The problem with a lot of these 1x scopes, though, like if you go a 1x6 or a 1x8, that's a huge difference, and they're really expensive. You say, that doesn't make any sense at all. Why is a 6 power, like, I'll give you a great example. Vortex has a 1x6 optic, right? it's $1,399. And you're like, a 6-power scope is $1,300? What? Yep.
It's really good glass, apparently.
Yes. Well, it's really good glass. The reason is because it's harder to make a 1 to whatever, like a 1 to 8, 1 to 6. It's actually more difficult to manufacture than a 3 to 9. You figure it out. But yeah, that's my suggestion for you. If you have one of these mid-range cartridges like that, I wouldn't even waste. You don't need a 12-power scope. You don't need a 25-power scope. You don't need a 50-power scope. Or I know you're not going to get a 50, but the fact is, a good 3x9 scope will do you just fine, and it'll probably set you back a few $100s. Essentially, if you really are serious about shooting, you want to spend about as much money on the scope as you spent on the rifle. So if you bought one of these Ruger bolt actions for $399 or $400 or something like that, then spend $300 on a scope, you'll be good to go. So how does that sound? Does that help you guys out? I was going to look it up on Ruger's website, but I think it would probably take me too long, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if it's a ranch rifle or the American or whatever, but they got a lot of stuff at Ruger. A lot of products.
Did I tell you that I shot a scar the other day?
Did you?
Yeah, I shot a scar. And it was a memorable thing. You know why it was memorable?
Why?
Because it had a Fargan compensator on the front of it.
Really?
Yes.
It had
I was getting punched in the face every time I pulled the trigger.
Whose gun was it?
It was a rental at one of the ranges here.
Oh, okay.
Our buddy Josh had a birthday rental, and he's like, I want to do that one.
Like, oh, well, there you go.
So ask me about my scar.
Ask you about your scar. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you're looking for optics or whatever, go to Brownell, sign up for their newsletter, and bing, bang, boom, you're good to go. And quite often, they will do a daily special of free shipping. They will do daily free shipping specials. So, but the only way you know about that is when you sipping your coffee in the morning. I'll do my sip of my coffee. Oh, look at that! Brownell says free shipping for the next 24 hours.
Wait, hold on. I need to ask you. I need to expand upon this question.
Which question are you going to expand?
The mid-range caliber rifle scope. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
What about scope rings? How do you determine what is a quality scope ring and what is not? Are all of them quality?
No, they're not all quality, but
is price a good thing to look at there, or like the more expensive the better quality? I assume not, but I don't know.
Well, go with a manufacturer name.
The reason I ask is because I need some scope rings for my 260 scope.
Oh, okay.
And I was looking at them the other day, and I'm like, you know what? I've never bought scope rings before, so I need to seek an expert's advice on this.
All right. Well, scope rings, if you're putting it on a bolt action gun, and if you're putting it on an AR, that's a completely different story. You can get away with low or medium rings on a bolt action because the comb of the stock goes down, so your cheek is down here.
Okay.
But with an AR, your cheek is up here.
You have to do high.
And so you need higher rings. Otherwise, you're going to be like trying to break your neck shooting an AR. So you're going to need either high or extra high rings.
For an AR?
For an AR, yeah. Yep. You either need high or extra high rings for an AR. Yeah, but go with manufacturer, Loophole or
right.
If you go to Brownells and you put in AR scope rings, you really kind of can't go wrong.
Yeah, I was looking at them the other day. I didn't realize there were so many options, and I also didn't realize how expensive some of them get.
Oh yeah, they can go pretty high, I mean, if somebody's trying to sell you a set of rings for $19, they're not gonna.
They're gonna break off the first shot I break.
Yeah. The screws will come loose and they'll bend and all that stuff. So, but Tally is a good company. Loophole's a good company, obviously.
There's a set of Vortex rings here for relatively inexpensive.
Vortex actually should be pretty good rings. So that's what you're looking for.
Okay, cool. So high or extra high for AR, and then bolt actions are low or medium.
Yeah.
I'm glad that I asked, because I would have probably
Rings,
just,
and it would have been,
yeah, I probably would have ordered the wrong ring because I wasn't paying attention to it.
pull your head way down kind of a thing. It's weird. Okay. Century Arms, sweetest smelling arms maker in the U.S. of A. They've got pistols, rifles, shotguns. Nope, don't have shotguns.
Wait,
what?
I think that there's something that we need to mention for people that are coming to the precision rifle class. It's actually a good point. If you're buying new gear to come to the rifle class because you don't have the gear yet, and you're getting the scope rings and the scope and the rifle and whatnot, make sure you assemble the gear before you come and maybe go test fire and make sure you can hit some paper maybe. As long as you can hit a target size piece of paper, we'll dial you in from there.
Oh yeah, we can zero you, but all your gear should be assembled before you get here.
Yeah. And even if you're not hitting paper, we've had people show up and couldn't hit paper, which is fine. It's just, if you're new to the craft, then you're going to have to go through a learning experience. It just takes longer to progress in the class. So if everybody shows up and they're able to at least hit a piece of paper, then the class will progress much faster.
Well, if you show up and your rings and scope are all attached to the rifle,
yeah,
that will make things go a lot quicker.
Yep.
That'll make things go a lot better. So, yep, there you go.
If you haven't signed up for the precision rifle class yet, go to SOTGU.com. Get all the information there. We're about a little bit more than a month out from the first class. We've got 2 classes planned right now. So go to SOTGU, get all the information. If you have questions still after you read that page, then contact me. I've given my phone number and email address. The best place to go is info@studentofthegun.com if you have any questions.
There you go. All right, Century Arms, sweetest smelling arms maker, all that good stuff. They have pistols, they have rifles, they actually have some shotguns, and they have accessories and ammunition as well. Check them out at centuryarms.com. Duracoat, because life is
too short to have an ugly gun.
Absolutely, life is too short to have an ugly gun. There is no excuse for you to have a rusty, a crappy gun that has half its finish left. A lot of you guys out there, you're like, oh, I just bought this used gun, or, my grandpa left me a shotgun. I inherited one from my dad or my grandpa or my Uncle Jim or whatever, and half the bluing is gone. It's, it's like blue here and it's silver and then, whatever. What should I do? Go to Duracoat Firearm Finishes, and they can help you. You can make it any color you want. You can do a 1-color project. You can do a tiger stripe project. The sky is literally the limit to what you can do. They have more colors in their catalog than any company, bar none. They just do. Check those guys out at DuracoatFirearmFinishes.com. SWAT Fuel, because they want you to have a stronger body, sharper mind right now. Quit making excuses. Do it. Use the promo code SOTG. All right. And if you are a relatively new listener and you're like, hey, what's Student of the Gun all about? What's their gear store all about? I don't know. Well, if you listen, you're going to find out.
ShopSOTG.com is the perfect place to go if you are a student of the gun. Whether you want to expand your brain, increase your marksmanship, or help keep your family safe. All that, plus the pimp hand brands that you love. ShopSOTG.com has almost anything that an American patriot would want. Education, enlightenment, and entertainment, and we're open 24/7. Check out ShopSOTG.com today and see for yourself.
Yeah, check out those new targets, you freaks.
Real quick, we just got a question here on the live saying that they thought the class was full.
Robert tried on Sunday.
Yes. Is it full, to our knowledge?
Maybe. I know the second one is not full yet. The first one might be.
It's not full. The first one might be. The second one is a week after the first one, so sign up for the second one.
There we go.
Sign up for the one that's the first weekend of August. It's like the 7th, 8th, and 9th of August. Do it. Do it. Do it. All right. Hey, Zach, you want to talk about the Student of the Gun homeroom brought to you by our good friends at Crossbreed Holsters? You want to do that?
Yeah,
Let's
sure. I think that's a great idea.
That is an excellent idea. We should do that. Boom, 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 boom. All right. That is Dangerous by Madison Rising. That is the theme music, because the Student of the Gun homeroom is all about being dangerous on demand. How are you dangerous on demand? It's easy. You go to crossbreedholsters.com, buy a quality holster, wear that sucker, and have a gun on you, so that way it's there when you need it. Oh, what a crazy concept. That is a crazy concept. Use the promo code SOTG18 when you shop at crossbreedholsters.com. Save some money. Topic: a male suspect. Did this story from news.sky.com.uk. All right, it's not actually .uk, but it's from the skynews.uk.com.co.usa. All right, we shouldn't laugh at this, but dudes, don't they have like all kinds of, gun control laws and restrictions and plastic signs in place in UK?
It says Glasgow stabbings, several injured and man shot dead by police after city Sintra attack.
Centre?
Central, yeah, it's a French word. A stabbing attack at a hotel in Glasgow city centre has left a number of people injured and a police officer in critical condition. Wait, hold on a second. Did I read the title wrong? No, okay, I read it right. A male suspect has been shot dead by armed police at the scene of the incident at the city's Park Inn Hotel.
All right, stop. Did they say a male suspect?
Yes.
Did news.sky.com.uk just assume the gender of this suspect?
That's sad.
How dare they assume that person's gender? But it's interesting, Jared. As you go on throughout the story, go ahead and read the rest of the story and see if we get a detailed description of the suspect.
6 people are being treated in hospital.
In hospital?
In hospital. I wish I could do that accent because I love the accent.
In hospital?
I love that accent. It's great.
Your mom hates it.
Does she really?
If you do a British accent, she'll punch you right in the throat.
I could listen to a British person talk an entire day. And they don't have to talk about anything, including the 42-year-old officer who suffered knife wounds. His condition is said to be critical but stable. The members of the public hurt were aged 17, 18, 20, 38, and 53. Scotland's First Minister Nicola Sturgeon described the incident as truly dreadful, but said that it was not being treated as terrorism related.
Of course not.
Police say the incident is now contained and that there is no threat to the wider public. Armed police have sealed off the West George Street, and paramedics in hazmat suits were seen treating a person on a bloodstained pavement. Oh, is that because of the coronavirus? Footage of the incident showed armed police outside a building as a number of people ran out with their hands up. They saw people bloodied taken on stretchers from the Park Inn Hotel, which had been housing a number of asylum seekers and refugees. Louisa, who was in a building on the same road as the hotel, told Sky News, "I saw people being treated with blood on the ground. I saw people running out of the hotel with the police shouting, 'Put your hands up! Put your hands up! Come out!' There were police cars, ambulances, all over the street, and they cordoned it off. Police were shouting to people in other buildings near the Park Inn Hotel to stay inside and not come into the street." This is all what?
They just tipped their hat.
Okay.
They just tipped their hand right there. They're not going to tell us who the suspect is. They're not, other than a male suspect, right? They're not going to give us a physical description. Nowhere in here does it say the name of the guy. Now, it's funny. They were able to get the exact ages of every suspect, or not suspect, every victim of the attack, right? But they couldn't get the name, age, description of the guy who was doing the stabbing. However, they tipped their hand, and they're like, "It's definitely not terrorism." How do you know that? This story is 2 hours old. Well, it's definitely, it's nothing to see here.
I'm trying to figure out why they would put that in the story. If there wasn't a reason to suspect terrorism, why would you? Why would that even come up in conversation? Is what I'm wondering.
The blood's not even okay. This story, as we speak the words into this microphone, this just went down. Okay, the blood is still wet on the streets in England, and they've already come out and said it's definitely not terrorism. How do you know? You launched, conducted, investigated, and completed your investigation already in like a couple of hours. There's definitely not terrorism. But it says it occurred at the Park Inn Hotel, which has been housing whom, Jared?
What did they say was the actual term? Something in refugees.
And asylum
seekers and refugees, yeah.
Asylum seekers and refugees from where? From Ireland? From Wales? Refugees and asylum seekers from Scandinavia? See, this is when people who are smart and are in my audience are like, dude, I already know. We already know where this is going. And we already know that when the British media tells us, don't look there, look in a different direction. When the media is like, don't look over here, you might see something that we don't want you to see. Yeah. So, you go all the way to the bottom. And what did Craig Milroy say? Craig Milroy is obviously a racist and needs to be taken to room 101 to get his head right. At the bottom, what did Mr. Milroy say?
I'm at the bottom. There is no Milroy.
I'll read it for you. It says, police were called. Armed police officers turned out in force. Craig Milroy said he witnessed the aftermath of the incident.
Oh.
And he said people were taken away in ambulances. Then he further said, I'd hate to be this guy, because they're going to be sending him to the re-education training so he can get his head right and not say wrong things. He said, quote, I saw a man lying on the ground of African descent with no shoes on. He was on the ground with someone holding his side. I don't know if it was a bullet wound or a stab wound. I don't know why. First of all, he just assumed this person's gender, and he assumed his descent, his origin. So, Mr. Milroy, I hope you enjoy your time in your re-education camp, because you can't be saying that. And you guys, you're like, stop it, Paul. There's no way. Remember the guy who fought off the attacker and said that he was how did he describe as a jihadist or something?
Yeah, and then they showed up at his house and
arrested him and forced him to go to whatever re-education training, hate re-education training.
I think it was racial sensitivity training.
Because he said bad things about the terrorist that was stabbing people.
And actually, I think, here's the thing. If I remember correctly, it wasn't even that deep. This was the dude that fought the dude on the train, and they sent him to the racial whatever training so that he didn't develop any negative opinions of those people.
Of immigrants or Arabs or whatever. Yeah. This is real. You guys are like, Paul, come on now. No, this is really going on in the UK. The UK is currently 1984. All right? Orwell called it. They're doing it. He wrote the book, and they're playing it out act by act right now in the UK. If you offend someone on Twitter, they will send police to your house and arrest you. You're like, bull crap. That never has happened, and it never will happen. Oh, it happened a while ago. All right? So, yep. I feel bad for this guy who's misgendering people. You're going to get in trouble. You're going to get in trouble. So, well, you're like, Paul, what does that have to be doing with being dangerous on demand? I'll tell you what it has to do. Number one, don't do what England does. Don't allow the Democrats in the United States of America to adopt the British model. Every time they bring up gun control, they're like, look at all these other countries that have adopted gun control, like Australia and England, and they're safe and nothing bad ever happens. When did they start the get life, bin the knife thing in England?
I remember that. I think that was 2017.
And it was before that.
Oh, really?
Because we were in the old studio in Biloxi.
Yeah, man, time is weird.
Yeah.
I was just thinking
So
we were in
It
Biloxi in
was like
2017.
14 or 15. They started the get a life, bin the knife. We got to, because they've already done the gun control thing, and that didn't help. They're like, well, we did a whole gun control campaign and disarmed the people. We disarmed all the good people, and bad people are still committing crimes. What should we do? Let's convince all the good people to turn in their knives and their crossbows and their their Klingon war swords. And you guys remember the Klingon war sword story?
I do.
Yes, sir. Yeah, the police were so proud that they got that Klingon war sword off the streets. Just, I mean, phew. Don't do that. Don't be like these people. Be dangerous on demand. Be a free man, a free woman, So, do you suppose anybody's going to point out? They're going to be like, "Hey, we've been doing this bin the knife thing for 5 years now, and yet we still have random people not committing acts of terrorism by going on mass knife stabbing attacks. But it's not terrorism, and we're sure that the person who did it had no terroristic intent whatsoever. And just because you think you know who it is that takes knives and randomly stabs people all over the world, that's you're going to room 101. Get your head right. All right. The main topic of today. Do you want to be ruled by this man? And you're like, well, no, he'll be the president, so he'll govern us. No. This man wants to rule you. And the question you have to ask yourself is, will you allow yourself to be ruled by this moron? And Zach's gonna. This is one of those weird, those stupid pop culture things where they give a celebrity 5 questions from Twitter and have them answer them or something like that. You've seen this. The Rock has done it, and celebrities do it all the time. John Cena did it. So they said, "Oh, wouldn't it be fun if we gave Joe Biden a top 5 Joe Biden questions or whatever from Twitter?" And they handed him a poster board and had him answer.
No, I'm gonna be fair here real quick. I'm willing to bet it was less these guys got in contact with them as it is vice versa. They're trying to do the Hillary Clinton "What's up, fellow children" thing.
Oh yeah, well, Biden's team is like, how can we make Joe look young and hip, cool? How can we put Joe in the same category as John Cena? We'll have him do this top 5 Twitter questions, and this is one of the answers that the man who wants to rule you said. So listen up.
And wait for it. And then double wait for it. And here we go.
What's Joe Biden's stance on gun control? Number 1, assault weapons are weapons of death. They have no rationale for being owned by individuals on the street. They should be outlawed. They were eliminated. They came back at a 10-year elimination of them. From the very beginning, you weren't allowed to have certain weapons. You weren't allowed to own a cannon. During the Revolutionary War as an individual. Anybody think you should be able to go out and have a machine gun these days? And the answer is no. We have a rational policy. No amendment to the Constitution is absolute. Secondly, everyone should have a universal background check in order to determine whether they're capable of owning a weapon, whether they should own a weapon. Okay. Why is Joe Biden running for president? I'm running for president for 3 reasons.
That is enough, moron. I cannot take any more of that guy.
You don't want any more?
No more
on.
Okay, so here's all you need to know about Joe Biden. He says no amendment. Okay, the amendments are the Bill of Rights, right? Notice how he doesn't say Bill of Rights. because he doesn't want to go on record as saying the Bill of Rights aren't actually rights. They're something else. So he calls them amendments. It's just an amendment.
Well,
Yeah, it's called the Bill.
Aren't there amendments outside of the Bill of Rights?
Yeah, there are.
Okay.
No amendment. And he means the second, right? When he says no amendment is absolute, he means the second. And, of course, the first, because, the freedom of religion and expression and all that. Well, what we're learning through the Kung Fu pandemic is that, well, yeah, but if your master says you're not allowed, then you're not allowed. What did Dick Metcalf say? First Amendment's not absolute because you can't say fire. But first of all, let's break that down. We eliminated assault weapons for 10 years, and then they came back. Where did they go, Joe? We eliminated them, and then they came back. No, you didn't, actually, because there's this thing called ex post facto. Have you ever heard of the ex post facto clause, Joe? Someone should ask him a real ex post facto. What does that mean, Joe? It means when you're in the pool and the hair on your legs sticks up, and Corn Pop ran with some bad dudes, and tell you what, and I said, hey, amigo, yeah, you better knock that off. Something about the thing. The thing. No, ex post facto, and we've explained this before, there's an ex post facto clause in the United States Constitution that says that you cannot punish people, that you cannot make something illegal that was legal yesterday. And you cannot punish someone for doing something today that was perfectly legal yesterday. For instance, you go and you buy a rifle, right? And then Congress under Bill Clinton says, and a bunch of FUDs are, you're not allowed to have that, but we'll grandfather it in, right? They called it the grandfather clause because apparently we like our kindly old grandfather was giving it to us or something. No, the reason in 94 when they shoved this bull crap down our throats, and the reason they grandfathered it was because back then they understood that if they didn't, then the Supreme Court would throw the law out. If they just did a flat out, you can't have this and you must surrender it, right? We just passed a law and you're not allowed to own an AR-15, blah, 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 blah. And so it is now, what do you call it? Contraband. If they'd have done that, we would have taken it, we'd have thrown it up to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court would be like, yeah, what you guys just did is you violated the ex post facto clause of the U.S. Constitution, ergo, this bill is not constitutional. Never mind the fact that it violates the Second Amendment. Forget that. That's what ex post, so when Joe says, we eliminated assault weapons for 10 years, and then they came back. No, you didn't, Joe. You just made it so that manufacturers couldn't sell new models to people for 10 years. Okay. You couldn't own a cannon during the Revolutionary War. A person couldn't. Well, who owned them, Joe? The government? The police? Hey, Joe, I know that you can't remember what you had for breakfast today or, what the day is or anything like that. But remember April 19, 1775? I'm going Joe Biden on you guys there. The shot heard around the world, right? And the actual beginning. You suppose Joe is familiar with that or even cares? I mean, he's from New England. He should know.
Well, he knows that they didn't have cannons back then.
They didn't have cannons back then. Yeah, they did, moron.
It's actually where the Army got the cannons from. It was from the citizens.
Well, what was the mandate of the British Army when they marched out of Boston, right? One if by land, two by sea, all that stuff. What was their mandate? What were they going to do? What was their task that when they marched out into the Massachusetts countryside? What was their mandate? What were they doing?
Collecting some taxes.
Nope.
They were rounding up the weapons. Is what they were doing.
Their mandate was to seize military stores and weapons from the people. They weren't going out into the Massachusetts countryside to take guns away from the sheriff or the police department or what. They were going to take them away from the citizens, and included in that were cannon. Yes, the American people. You're like, oh, they were part of the training bands, Paul. So that they're all right. The training bands and the militias were made up of citizens. Citizen volunteers. They were not members of the government. They were citizen volunteers. And the citizen volunteers owned cannon. They had parity with the British troops. They had the same kind of muskets as the British troops. And they were also trying to arrest Madison and Adams, too. They had arrest warrants for James Madison and John Adams. Was it John Adams or Samuel Adams? I think it was Sam Adams. They were trying to arrest Madison and Adams, too. Okay. But the primary goal of the British, when they marched out of Boston, that fateful day, April 19, 1775, shot heard around the world, beginning of the American Revolution, they were going to seize weapons and powder stores and anything that the military could use, right? That could be used for fighting. And it wasn't the British government wasn't seizing it from another government. They're like, oh, we're going to go seize this from the American government. There was no American government. They were British citizens. And they had cannon. And what about machine guns? Do you think people should have machine guns today? Hey, moron. People own machine guns today.
Yeah.
No, they don't. Yeah, they do.
He's going to have to
go
do a quick search to figure out if you can get them shipped directly to your door or not, though. And something else he said that no amendment is absolute, which is actually true because they can be repealed and whatnot. So they're never absolute. But however, let's look at the current amendments that are in place. We've got the amendment that ensures the right of women to vote and minorities to vote. Those are two different amendments, 15 and 19. And then we've got income tax, which I believe is 16 or 17. It's 16 because 17 is the election thing. So we've got income tax, which is the 16th Amendment. So are those are open for debate, right? Right, Joe?
Yeah, I mean we should repeal the 19th Amendment and stop letting women vote, according to Joe Biden. Right, according to Quora.com, I did a quick search, and this is probably right, but it says in the United States of America, there are effectively 176,000 transferable machine guns. All right, what that means is they were serialized before 1986, and if you have the money and the patience, you can fill out the paperwork and you can buy a machine gun. You mean, well, yeah, but you can only buy it if you're a member of the government or, No, an average dude can fill out the paperwork and you're like, well, aren't they illegal? No, because when they did NFA 1934, they knew about the supremacy clause, or not supremacy clause, the ex post facto. And they said, we don't, even though we're total progressive scumbags, we still don't have the authority to make these things 100% illegal. So what we'll do is we'll put a huge tax on them and we'll force the peasants to pay us a huge tax. So, we're like, well, they're still technically legal. We didn't violate ex post facto. Okay? We didn't violate ex post facto, but you peasants have to pay this massive tax, and you have to fill out paperwork and say, Mother, may I? But if you want to fill out paperwork and say, Mother, may I, and you've got the disposable income, you today, right now, could go out and buy a machine gun. You could buy an M60 if you wanted, if you had the cash. You could buy an AR. You could buy a full auto M16A1 with a happy switch on it. You could buy, if you want to really play the happy switch game, you could get an Ingram Mac 10. Mac 10. You get a Mac 10. Mac 10. And flip it over to happy, and you could spend $27 in 3 seconds or 2 seconds. You're like, I want to spend $27 in 2 seconds. It was $27.
Yep. Worth it.
Maybe not that much. Maybe only like 18 or 19. I don't know. What's the magazine capacity on a Mac 10? I can't remember because it's 45 ACP. Mac 10 mag capacity. Mac 10. 32 rounds. All right. So 32 rounds of 45 ball. 45 ACP. How much is that going to cost you?
I don't know, 50 cents.
What is a box of ball now? 45 costs like
I'm
20
not
bucks,
sure.
21 bucks. So okay, maybe it's only $15 in 2 seconds, but either way, you're like, no, you can't. It's illegal. Joe Biden said you can't. What about a machine gun? You think people should be allowed to buy machine guns today? And not one person ever said, hey there, Granddad. Hey, here's a shawl and your medication. Yeah, they can, moron. Like almost 200,000 Americans, and that doesn't include like machine gun manufacturers and registered manufacturers stuff. But all those machine gun manufacturers, those guys work for the government, right? They're not private citizens. No, they're actually private citizens.
We've got Zach Hall is listening in because you asked about the Mac 10 mags, and he almost immediately he's like, hey, 32 rounds.
32, because he's got one. Mac 10. Zach, can you get all 32 in that magazine with just your thumb?
And now to wait 30 seconds
Yeah.
for an answer.
What? The reason I asked that is, do you know why they originally came up with the little mag loading tools?
Because the springs were insane.
Because it's not for pistols.
Super durable springs is what they are.
Yeah. You guys, when you buy a Canik or a Glock or whatever, you get the little plastic mag loading tool thing. You think that they've got those? No. Until you've loaded a no-kidding submachine gun magazine, you don't realize how important those little tools are. Because once you get to like 22, 3, 5, oh my Lord, my thumb is going to break. Colt magazines, Colt submachine gun magazines, Uzi submachine gun magazines. Uzi. That's when, a lot of guys are like, I'm not a pussy. I don't need one of those stupid magazine loading tools. No, you don't for your pistol.
Hey, Zach, mark that time down.
Oh, we can't say that? I'm not a bleeding vagina. I don't need one of those. But anyway, so what else did Joe say recently that was super intelligent? Well, you guys remember only about a month or two ago when Joe Biden said that 150 million Americans have died from gun violence? 150 million. And they're like, yeah, Joe, that's terrible. We really need to do something about that. And nobody said, moron, the country only has 330. So that's like 42% or whatever, 45% of the country died of gun violence. So almost half. You're like, almost half the country's died of gun violence. You're like, wow, we really should put you in charge. Well, you just said 120 million people have died of the Kung Flu. Well, the thing. And so I would maybe give him a break. You're like, oh, he just missaid his numbers. No, he has a habit of doing this. Joe Biden has a habit of just throwing out numbers. He's got no facts or anything. He's just, hey, what will make my position sound good today? I know.
You know what it is? I figured
What's
it out.
that?
He is outsmarting all of us. He does this because then he knows that the right is going to clip videos of him and share the crap out of it. So then he gets in front of all of their voters too.
Yeah, so all the Trump voters are like, you know what? I changed my mind.
Yeah.
I'm going to vote for Joe Biden. I want him to rule over me. So between 100, so do the quick math, 150 and 120 is 270. So according to Joe Biden, 270 million Americans are now dead from a combination of gun violence and Kung flu. Why is there still traffic in the morning? I mean, that's like what, 67% of the total population or something, Jared?
It's actually more than the population of the United
75?
States. No, it's like 110%.
No.
Yeah, the total population of the United States is 328.2 million. So 250 plus 120 is 307.
No. 150 and 120.
Oh, I thought he said 250. So
no,
close.
So 270 million people are dead.
Yep.
In America from gun violence and the Kung flu, according to Joe Biden. So like 78% of the country has died. It should be easy for him to get elected because you only have to get 100,000 dead people to register to vote for him, and boom, he's in. But what I want to know is, does Joe never stop and think who's going to pay all the taxes for all these programs that he wants with 75% of the country dead? Does it ever occur to him? Do you think he knows how many people do you think he knows the population of America? Do you think Joe thinks it's like 1 billion or something like that? Because when you throw before it comes out of your mouth, you'd have to think oh, hang on a second. If I say this, that would mean take away the 150 million people dead from gun violence. Okay. Just take that away. So you're Joe Biden, and let's just say that he knows there's 300 million and change in America. And so he's like, well, I'm going to say 120 million people died. And then you'd be like, so that's like a third of the population. Do I really think that one out of every 3 people in America has died of Kung flu? Like literally, you're like, that just from if I said to you, Jared, did you know that 1.8 million people died in car crashes yesterday? And you'd say, that can't possibly be true. That would mean I'd have to be passing fiery wrecks every 2 miles. You'd immediately know that it wasn't true. And you say, okay, Paul, quit bagging on Joe Biden. So he has mental problems. That doesn't disqualify him from being president. So and this is really where we need to go as a country, as our side. The Democrat Party, knowing full well that Joe Biden, this guy cannot string together 2 coherent sentences. I dare him. I dare the left to give me an example of Joe Biden off script. He can't even stay on script. And we've seen examples of he can't even stay on teleprompter. He's reading a teleprompter. He's like, no. Remember when he was on teleprompter and he's reading? He's like, today I want to say that. And he's like, and he got frustrated and started waving his hand. He's like, just get that out of there and keep going. The Democrat Party knows.
Hey, Zach, what time are we at?
53 minutes.
Okay.
Wrap it up.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
I'd be done if you wouldn't have interrupted me. They know that this guy is mentally incapable of being the president, but they don't care. Because they don't care whether or not Joe Biden is in the White House. They want the Democrat Party to be in charge of the White House.
Anyone but Trump.
Yes. They don't care. Because the Democrat Party gets in power by doing 2 things. Promising and punishing. They promise to give you all the free things that you want, whatever it is, doesn't matter. You say you want this, they'll promise you that. And then they also promise to punish those who do things that you don't like. They promise to punish Christians. They promise to punish gun owners. They promise to punish anyone who does anything you don't like. That is why Joe Biden is so dangerous. Because they don't give a crap about Joe Biden. They just want the Democrat Party to run the government. so that they can give them what they promised and they can punish the people they don't like. That's why Karen and Kyle and all the malcontents out there are screaming anyone but Trump or I love Joe or whatever, because they want to rule you. And you need to ask yourself, will you allow yourself to be ruled, regardless of who the president is? All right. Tomorrow is a bonus hour. And if you want to be a part of the bonus hour, you really should. It's a grad program. You join I almost said Legion of Michael. No, you join the grad program, and you go to Jared. Tell them how they can get in the grad program.
Just go to getsotg.com. There's a bunch of information on there for you. If you sign up through that, you can get access to the book that's there. We'll ship it to you, and you get 30-day free trial to the grad program. And if you don't like it, if it's not for you, then that's fine. You can cancel the grad program membership before you are charged for it, and that's fine. We'll get it done for you. If you do want to be part of the membership of like-minded individuals, and that's more important now than it's ever been before, then
you're telling me,
go to Get SOTG, sign up there, and then you'll be a part of the membership.
And, as today is the 1st, that means that this Saturday is the 4th. And don't plan on going to the bank or the post office on Friday because they're taking that day off.
Yep.
That's the national holiday is the 3rd. So all of you people who work for the government, get a long weekend. All of you people who work for yourself, like us, sucks to be you. You're just going to keep doing it.
I'm taking a long weekend.
You're just going to keep working. That's what you're going to do. All right. Remember, you're a beginner once.
A student for life.
We appreciate your reviews. If you haven't left a review or updated yours recently, head on over to Facebook, iTunes, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, or your favorite podcast player to voice your opinion. Don't forget to join us at the Student Lounge, a place for like-minded individuals to learn, connect, and support each other. No chicanery will be tolerated. Remember to check studentofthegun.com daily for new, free content and giveaways. Watch, listen, read, shop, and connect at studentofthegun.com. Are you a social butterfly? Connect with us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter for new content each and every day at Student of the Gun. Watch Student of the Gun TV and videos from our trusted partners on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire TV, Chromecast, and even AirPlay. Go to studentofthegun.com for direct links, and remember, you're a beginner once, a student for life.